Hey guys, it's Melissa here from melissaoatman.com. Welcome to another episode of Awaken Your Inner Awesomeness, the weekly podcast devoted to all things spirituality and self-improvement. I am so delighted you're here with me today. Today we're going to be talking about the full moon. What does it represent and symbolize? And how can you use the upcoming full moon on November 5th to your advantage? So let's get started. As a teacher, and I think healthcare professionals are the same, I can tell you when there's a full moon, I don't even have to look at a calendar because my students act crazy. It's insane. And today was definitely a reminder that there is an upcoming full moon. But you might be seeing other things happen in your life that make you think, oh, okay, there must be something going on. I don't know what it is exactly about the full moon that just makes students go crazy. And I hear from healthcare professionals all the time, patients do too, or things go a little bit insane in the hospital where people are working. I get it, because I've seen it in my classroom and I don't have an explanation other than just to say I've witnessed it. And I know many other teachers have too. But what is a full moon? What does it symbolize, and what does it mean for you? So the full moon is all about a time of culmination. It is a promise of things coming to fruition. So aside from the fact that, people act a little bit crazy on a full moon, what does it really mean? It means a lot of things symbolically. A full moon is a time to release things that really don't serve you. And it's a time to start doing things that are going to help move you further in life. And what do I mean by that? There are a lot of rituals that people do around the full moon. And I know right now everyone's picturing practical magic and people dancing around the kitchen and doing spells. It's not exactly what I mean, although if you're somebody who wants to do that, that's great. But what I'm talking about is more of symbolic rituals of learning to let things go, learning to forgive, and picking up new habits and rituals that will help you in life. The full moon is a time to be really creative because the full moon is ripe with possibilities. There are always chances for us to learn during this time. Intimate relationships can become a focus at this time. And in my personal opinion, it's a great time for learning to let go. Letting go of things is really, really difficult and it can be scary. But I know that this is something that's coming up for me right now. I will kind of fill you in on what's happening in my world, just so you kind of get a sense of what's going on. And maybe you're experiencing something similar in your world. But right now, what I'm having to learn to let go of is people in situations that are not serving me. So most of you know that I also do travel agency on the side because I love to travel. I love adventure and I love helping people. And it's just something that I was really interested in doing. And if you know me, I know a lot of people think, well, she does all of these different things. But I was on an episode of the podcast, The Eyes Have It. And that's also available on the podcast network that I'm currently on, which is New Reality TV. And you can go and check it out for free. She did an episode where she read my eyes. And in it, she said, it was so weird how spot on she was about everything. But she said, you are a person who gets bored easily if you're doing the same thing over and over again. You have to have your hand in a lot of different things. And I just thought maybe it was ADHD, right? Like, oh, I want to do this and I want to do that and I want to do that. And she said, no, it's in your chart. Like, this is who you are. You will be unhappy if you become stagnant and complacent. So it made sense. So I wanted to do the travel agency thing. It was something that I really had wanted to do for a while. And so I took a chance. I joined a company and it was a small company, small business, became a contracted agent and started to build this business And for the first few years, it was wonderful. But I noticed that, training was sometimes lax and it was a little disorganized. And here in the past few months, I have not been getting paid. And none of the other agents have as well. The agency is still bringing in a lot of money. I know there's money owed to me, but just not getting paid and not being answered when I email with questions and whatever. And it's not really even about the money, although, of course, everybody needs to make a living. It's more the disrespect for someone who's put in so much work and time and then to be treated that way. But it's an ending for me because I've realized even if they were to make everything up and pay what they owed, I no longer trust this person. And so I have to move on. I have to move on for my own sake. And I do want to be successful in what I do, and I still want to continue to do it. So now I have to find a different agency. And it's hard because you've spent so much time, right? I spent 5 years building this and trying to do this. And it's so disappointing because I feel like I was finally starting to get somewhere, and then this happened. But I know that the universe always brings me to where I need to be. So if an ending is happening, it's because it's meant to. It's not easy, and it's sometimes scary, but it's time. And that is what I think of when I think about full moons. It's a time, I always think of the moon as cleansing. A lot of people will put their crystals outside in the moon to charge them. And people do rituals in the moonlight to, superpower their rituals. And I have other podcasts devoted to rituals if you want to go and find them and listen to them. There are things you can do. I'm not really going to talk about the rituals per se, at least not all of them. So if you really are interested in that, you can go and find my other podcasts about the moon rituals. What I want to talk about is the purpose in the full moon and what it's symbolizing and what, to me, I think it's a time for. I think it's a time for us to sit down and to reflect on what isn't working and to reflect on where we want to go and to reflect on if what we're currently doing is helping us get there. There are a lot of things that I still do because I'm human here. Well, I'm a spirit having a human experience who was born with these limitations, right? These things that I have learned along the way that I have to unlearn. Like being a people pleaser, I had to unlearn that. I had to learn how to set boundaries. I've had to unlearn beating myself up for mistakes, for things that, every human does. And so the full moon to me is a time for sitting down to really think about what things am I still doing that are holding me back? What's keeping me from being the best human that I can possibly be? And one of the things that happened to me yesterday helped put things in perspective a little bit. A friend of mine asked if my sister and I would go and help serve. It was her church's turn to serve dinner for the homeless at their church. And so we said, of course, because we would do anything for our friend. And we went and helped them prepare and helped serve and had a really good time, honestly. It was a lot of fun just getting to be around people and to help people and to serve people. And that's one thing that I realized, okay, that's missing from my life. Like I need to be doing more of these things. Something that makes me feel like I'm contributing more and that makes me feel good, because doing good for others, not being a doormat, but, volunteering and doing things for others does make you feel better about yourself. So I realized that that's one thing that I need to start doing more of. Another thing that I realized was that I need to start letting go of the things that don't serve me, like biting my tongue and not saying anything when a company is being blatantly disrespectful. Because also, while not getting paid, these people are traveling like crazy and going to islands and Disneyland and all of these places. And at least I don't count on this for my main source of income, because I would be in trouble if I did. But I know there are other people who do. And it just made me so angry for those people especially. Because not only are you not paying, but then it's like you're throwing it in someone's face that you have all this money or ability to go and travel and get these free things, and it's not fair. But it's, you can't sit and whine and say, oh, there's nothing. You just have to actively try to do something to make your situation better. But that became a lesson for me in forgiveness and in letting go. I'm not going to change who these people are. I don't even really know them that well. In working with them for that long, I have not really gotten to know them that well. What I do know is that from what I've seen, I do not like it. And I'm not going to change them, but I can walk away. And I may have to cut my losses and just say, well, karma comes back around, and that's difficult sometimes. I've spent a lot of times in my life having people do things to me that I never received an apology for. And that's okay, because that isn't what forgiveness is about. Forgiveness isn't really about the other person. It's about you being able to let go of the resentment, the hurt, the anger, all of that you hold on to when people do you wrong. And so maybe there's a situation in your life. I don't know who I'm talking to. I just know that when I was being guided to do this episode, that's kind of what I heard, is people need to focus on learning how to let go of all the things you think have been unfair, of all of the things that have held you back, and to forgive, even when it's things that you're not going to get retribution for, if that makes sense. There are a lot of times in life when people do really crappy things and you don't get an apology. And that's life. That's how people are sometimes. People be peopling, right? That's what they do. People do what they do. Sometimes people don't even see that what they do is wrong, or that they've hurt someone, or maybe they don't care. There's a whole wide range of reasons that people do what they do. It's not about them, and it's never been about anybody else. It's about you. It's about learning to forgive so that you can let go. Because holding on to all of those things is so painful. And storing up all of that resentment and anger and all of the things that you hold on to just causes you to become physically sick. It actually can manifest into illness in the body, disease in the body, and it's not healthy. And it's miserable to feel that way. So now is the perfect time to let go. And if you want to do those other rituals we talked about, that's great too. Put your crystals outside to charge them in the full moon. If you want to go and look at some of the other full moon rituals, you can. But so many of us are feeling powerless right now by what's happening in our society. And the truth is, there are things we can do. I cannot control what anybody else does. I can only control myself. But ask yourself, what can I do to feel better, to help? And one of the things that I realized was I cannot control people not being able to afford food or get their SNAP benefits or whatever they need. But I can go out and volunteer my time. I can donate. I can do things like that. And that makes it feel a little less helpless. And like maybe when we come together, we create a positive ripple and a positive shift. I know, and I've told this story before, I think, but my mom always used to have the story of the starfish on our refrigerator. And the story talks about a man who is walking along the beach, and he sees hundreds and hundreds of starfish all washed up on the shore. And he sees a man on the beach picking up one starfish at a time and throwing it back into the water. And he couldn't believe what he saw. Why is this man wasting his time doing something so stupid? And he called out to him and he said, "What are you doing? Why are you doing that? You're just wasting your time. You're not going to make one bit of difference. Look how many starfish there are." And with that, the man picked up a starfish in his hand and he said, "I make a difference with this one," and threw it in the water. And that's the truth. We don't see how we might make a difference in someone's life, but I promise you, you do. You make a difference to somebody, and even though you don't feel like you do, you do. And maybe now is just a time for you to see how much of a difference you really do make. To sit down and look at your life and say, when I'm not here anymore, what will people say about me? What will they think about me? I promise you it's not nothing. Even with the smallest act of kindness, I stand at my door every day and I smile at students who walk down the hall. And I got a letter one time from a student who just said, "I want to thank you for smiling every day." And it was an anonymous note. I don't even know which of my students wrote it. But it's very possible that I was the only smile that student saw, or maybe the first smile that student saw, and it made a difference. So this full moon is really about the possibilities. I know life seems hard and it seems rough and it's discouraging right now, but I promise you make a difference. And now is such a great time to really sit and think about, what can you do for yourself to bring yourself a little bit more joy in life, a little bit more ease in life? How can you set boundaries so people aren't taking advantage of you? How can you do more things that bring you joy? And how can you do more things that make you feel good about yourself? Because now's the time to do that. When we spread more love out into the world, it comes back to us as a ripple effect. We can sit and focus on all the people who wronged us, but that just makes us miserable and we're not going to change them anyway. Now is the time for forgiveness and learning how to move forward. And so with that, I wanted to pull a few cards for you. And if you're wanting to know, let me give you one ritual that you can do right now with this new full moon. Again, the full moon is on the 5th. I want you to sit down and create some intentions for your life. How do you want to feel in the coming months? What do you want your life to feel like? What do you want your life to look like? That doesn't have to be anything grand. It can simply be something as easy as, I want to be able to come home from work and not have a bunch of commitments and just have an evening to myself where I take a hot bath and I pamper myself and I wear a face mask and get a massage or whatever you need. And everyone's needs are different. But I want you to be intentional about sitting down and asking yourself those questions. What do I want my life to be like? What do I want my life to feel like? And a lot of times when we look at that, we might realize, hey, you know what? I've been saying yes to a lot of things that I really should be saying no to. Or I'm worrying about a lot of things that I need to let go because I don't have control of that anyway. I need to trust the universe a little bit more. So find some time, take some time and maybe 15 minutes, 20 minutes out of your day. Find a quiet place to sit. Maybe sit down and take a few deep breaths and clear your energy and your space. And just ask yourself that question. What do I want to feel like in the next few months? What do I want my life to look like? And is there anything I can do to get there? And if there's nothing I can do, how can I let go and trust the universe a little bit more that I'm going to get there? And just see what happens with that. Maybe do a little guided meditation for an energy clearing. I have those on my YouTube channel or in my other podcasts. If you sign up for my newsletter on my website, it'll give you a free guided meditation, and I do not spam you. I really don't send out emails very often at all. I need to be better about that. So if you're signing up, you're really just going to sign up to get a meditation, and you may get an email every once in a while when I announce something new or if I have something for you. But take the time to clear your energy, clear your space, start over. Every day is a new chance to start fresh. It's your opportunity to start enjoying life a little bit more. I wanted to pull some cards for you today to go along with this message. And so first I pulled some cards from, both decks are from Angela Rose, but the first deck I pulled for you is the Sacred Soul Journey deck. And what came out first is let go, let flow. Security comes from within. You are fully supported and safe. Let go of worry and lean into trust. You are right where you are meant to be. The thing about that is, it's hard to imagine, but I used to be the person, I was a single mom. I worried about money all the time. And when I realized that I didn't need to, that I just needed to let go and just trust, even when I couldn't see how, things started to get so much better. So much of what we worry about, we call into our being. And so don't focus on that. Focus on how abundant you are and just tell yourself that. You're abundant in so many ways. And if you're looking for proof that life is abundant, look out in nature. Everything dies in the winter and comes back in the spring. Nature is abundant, and so therefore you are abundant. The next card coming out is forgiveness. Everyone is doing the best they can with what they know, including yourself. You are not defined by your past. Forgive yourself and others. It sets you free. There are so many times in life when I think back about things I've done, things that have happened, and I feel embarrassed or ashamed that, I didn't behave better as a human. But what I've learned is it's hard to behave in a way that's better when you don't know better. And when you do, instead of beating yourself up for what you didn't know, or didn't do, just forgive yourself and tell yourself you'll do better in the future. That's really all we can do. And if you need to make amends with someone, do that. But sometimes you just have to say, I forgive myself and let it go. The next card is celebration. You are a big deal. You are worthy of celebrating all of your accomplishments, big and small. Today, acknowledge yourself and celebrate. It is so true. Every little accomplishment. I talk about this in my book, Beautifully Broken. That book was all about how I learned to put my life back together again after a breakup and a really toxic marriage and learning how to love myself again. And in it, I talk about celebrating all the small wins. And for me now, with aging and menopause, like when I remember to walk into the kitchen and put the dish in the sink and not walk back into the other room with the dish still in my hand going, why did I walk in the other room? That's a win, right? That's a celebration. So celebrate all of your wins. And lastly, from this deck, we have fear is a liar. You can feel afraid and still let your heart lead you towards the next best step. Your fears are your imagination at play. They are not your reality. And if something is making you that afraid, sometimes that's a sign. It usually is for me if that's the direction I have to go, because I know that there's something there that's going to be worth learning. So think about that. And I love what came out next, goes right along with it. It's anything is possible. When you shift your mindset and allow yourself to dream, anything is possible. What have you been dreaming of? If you could have, be, or do anything, what would you choose? If it's on your heart, it's meant for you. Journal and list all the things that bring you joy. Be specific. Think about the holistic best self version of you with your money, relationships, career, passions. And that's sort of like what I was telling you to do with this ritual. But I love that. Journal all the things that bring you joy. And what would the best version of you with your money, relationships, career, and passions look like? And what can you do? Or is there anything you can do to work towards that? In a lot of ways, yes, there is. It seems silly, but even just starting an account where you put $5 back from each check, if that's all you've got, just starting somewhere is better than nothing. And the mantra that goes with this card is, I believe anything is possible. I feel it. I see it. It is real. Next, we have Mother Earth. We all want to feel nurtured and wise, like a loving mother nurturing her child, providing guidance and a gentle, loving touch. You don't need an outside source to feel this way. You were divinely made with this Mother Earth bond, wisdom, and imprint within you. Take a walk in nature. Be present. Know you are fully supported. If appropriate, take off your shoes and ground yourself. Go hug a tree. I know we all laugh about that, but seriously, being one with nature and getting out in it is such a grounding experience. The mantra that goes with this card is, I have everything I need within me now. I am fully supported, loved, and wise. And then the last card is, you were not born to settle in any area of your life. Set yourself free. Embrace who you were born to be. Does your life feel constrictive or expansive? Pay attention to how your body feels in all areas of your life. Call it out. What is holding me back? What story do I have of why I can't have what I want? Journal how you feel at home, work, etc. And the mantra that goes with this card is, I am free and I lean into expansion. If it is not on my heart, if it is on my heart, it is meant for me. I trust. There's 2 cards coming out saying if it's on your heart, it's for you. So listen to that. What is it? And we're not talking about things that are not free will, okay? I get into this so much where people are like, oh, I want to be with this person. If that person doesn't want to be with you, that is their free will. We cannot control anyone else's free will or impede on anyone else's free will. Okay, we're talking about something that's on your heart that you want, that is within your control. Okay, and if you keep going to a certain person, ask yourself this: what qualities of that person do I think I want? Because maybe it's not the specific person. Maybe it's about wanting something that made you feel the way that person makes you feel. And think about it from that way. But you can have anything, okay? The universe is abundant. Therefore, you are abundant. So go get what you want. This new moon, well, it's not a new moon, it's full moon, but the full moon on the 5th is an opportunity for you to start over. And starting over doesn't have to be a bad thing. It can be, maybe for some of you, it's not starting over. It's beginning with intention. Starting to place more intention on what you do. So sit down and ask yourself those questions. If you want to put your crystals out in the moon to charge them, do that. Go look for the moon rituals that are on my other podcast episodes. Sit down and ask yourself, how do you want life to feel? Restrictive or expansive? Because I know the answer that I want to that question. And how can you make it feel more expansive to you? All right, guys, I want to thank you so much for being here with me today. If you like this podcast, please subscribe. Please leave a positive review from wherever you're listening. And the greatest compliment you can pay me is to share this podcast with those you think might also enjoy it. And if you want to work with me, I offer readings, healing sessions, coaching. All of that's available on my website at melissaoatman.com. My books, Beautifully Broken, The Spiritual Woman's Guide to Thriving, Not Just Surviving After a Divorce or Breakup, and Beautiful Mourning, A Guide to Life After Loss. Those books are both available on Amazon. They're available on audiobooks.com, Spotify, from several places. If you just do a Google search or go to the show notes, there's a link in the show notes to the audiobooks and to the books. They're also available on Barnes & Noble. So go check that out. I hope you guys have an amazing week that is filled with so many blessings. I am sending you so much love and light, and I will talk to you soon. Bye, guys.